chaser. He gives the people a voice, empowers you with a choice. She gives you straight talk, no chaser. Straight talk with no chaser. Straight talk with no chaser. Straight talk with no chaser. She provides a platform of growth and gives the dying people hope. She gives you straight talk, no chaser. Straight talk with no chaser. Straight talk with no chaser. Straight talk with no chaser.
Welcome to the Straight No Chaser show on intellectualradio.com, an iHeartRadio station. This is your host, Rhea Ray Harris, and I am so glad to be with you today, especially because I have my actual friend. You know, I have a lot of guests that actually turn out to be my friends later. And author Marcus Jones, how are you?
I am great.
And this is also our debut on Periscope. So you are on a really special show today, as well as Facebook Live and the Straight No Chaser Show YouTube channel. So we are doing it globally. Okay.
See.
Now, as I start off with all of my guests, where are you from?
I am from the Jeffrey Manor, southeast side of Chicago. For those who are not familiar, that's from 95th Stony all the way to 95th Torrance
to 103rd.
To 103rd. Yeah.
I grew up down the street. That's why I know. But Mama's still down the street.
Yeah.
Not too far myself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the 80s, wasn't always the easiest in the Manor. We just called it the Manor because I guess we lived over there. What was your experience in Jeffrey Manor coming up?
Well, I've had some great times out there. You know, it was fun. You know, growing up in the Jeffrey Manor, and so you know, we played on the when they had the jungle gyms. I don't know if they still have the jungle gyms now.
Well, they've made everything so safe. So they have, the little foam at the bottom of it and all that stuff. We fought on cement. They didn't care. But yeah, they still have a version of all that.
Right. So I used to play pole to pole, you know, on the swings. You know, I used to go over there to the tracks, play in the prairie over there. We used to raft over there in the prairie. You know, I had a lot of fun growing up over there.
When you became a teenager, where did you attend school?
I first attended Hales Franciscan High School for my first 2 years, and my mom's couldn't afford the tuition no longer, so I had to go to a public school, and she always still wanted me, you know, to get a good education. So she sought out Kenwood, was one of the better schools back when I was growing up, and so when she couldn't afford the tuition any longer, I transferred to Kenwood Academy.
And that's where you finished?
Yes, that's where I graduated at.
Now, even though everybody was at that time, I think even the rough schools weren't like they are now. Mm-hmm. So you still could get an education and you still felt reasonably safe most of the time. What did you see as you developed into a real teenager? What was the shift in your reality?
I think it was me transferring back and forth to school, because even though I stayed in the Jeffrey Manor, but I still went to Kenwood Academy. And so traveling from 95th all the way to 51st, mm-hmm. You know, you go through plenty of neighborhoods, plenty of gang activity, both on the streets and on the bus as well. And from coming home to going to a nice neighborhood was cool, but then I always had to come back into what we see now on the corners, you know, people hanging out and just being destructive.
Because I took a similar bus path as we would pick up Kenwood on the way home on the Jeffrey 6, mm-hmm. which I don't even know what the numbers of the buses are anymore. And we would go through what I since learned is called Terror Town, South Shore. And then we would get past CVS, and I would get off between CVS and the Manor. But there seemed to be a shift in the dynamics because in the early 80s, at least from my vision, if you wanted to be a part of a gang, that was fine. But if you didn't, it wasn't a lot of pressure.
Right.
But after we got to be a little older, like I said, and going from neighborhood to neighborhood, it seemed to be a little more, not even a desire, but almost a necessity to be affiliated with someone or something because it got a little different. Was that one of your experiences also?
Not so much. My experience was my neighborhood, and the people in my neighborhood was GDs. So, and see the thing, the shift that I believe you're talking about. Back then, it was more respect. It was more honor. It was more what you would call if you didn't want, like you mentioned, if you didn't want to be in a gang, they didn't pressure you. So going from neighborhood to neighborhood, people would ask you, what gang you in, what you ride, things of that, and you wanted to be a part of something. You want to be a part of people that were known out, sort of say,
And at that time, a lot of people that were gang members were also respected.
Yes.
So it was a little different again as far as the affiliation versus now. So at a point, did you decide to join?
I did. I joined around my junior year. I joined. It was just, and that's why education is so important, because going to a Catholic school and the education that they give is more personable. It's more hands-on. They guide you, they walk with you, they talk, they call you, they do everything.
And they also had a smaller number of young men because Hales was an all-male school. Still is, I think.
No.
It just went co-ed?
It went co-ed a few years ago.
Okay. So because I know it had been all boys for a long time.
Yes.
But if you have 15 students versus 30.
Yes.
Or sometimes even more, that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And the purpose of the school is different when it is a parochial or a private school versus a public school where it's, we have to take who's coming in a lot of cases. So once you shifted into the public school system from a parochial school system, I could see where you would make that change a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a little bit just Chicago Public Schools is just a little bit more looser, And then too, at that time, it was like you mentioned, it was all boys school, and so we didn't have that. Where's Jane or Sue in the class, and have our attentions distracted so much. So it was a big shift going to the public schools.
And you joined what was in the neighborhood, GD?
Yes.
How did that affect you as you got a little older, when you started to get to be an older teenager?
It affected me because what I saw is what I thought I was going to be in those streets. I saw people making a lot of money. I saw people driving fancy cars. And so when I entered it, I just knew I was going to make $1 million in those streets, to be honest. Yeah.
Lord, I'm just going to roll with this, and I'm going to have it all. And I mean, at that age, with people's maturity not being fully developed, what else would you think? I mean, it's hard to say, oh, I'm going to be on these corners making $10 a day, barely being able to survive. That's not the reality that you're thinking you're going to get into. Mm-hmm. So when you saw that was the street game, and you assumed that the street game was going to bring you the money, if nothing else, but with money comes fame, did you decide, well, that's how I'm gonna ride this out. I'm gonna go with the gang route, and I'm going to become a more proliferated member by either selling or enforcing or whatever it was that there was to do?
Not at first, because I did have intentions on going to college, Jackson State University, and But another shift came in my life, and I was about to graduate from high school, and it was my grandfather who had passed away, and I was devastated. He was there always for me. He used to talk to us, sit us down. We used to watch TV with him, eat with him, and
So he was the family patriarch.
so he was a famous patriarch. And we had a big, huge family. It was about 15 of us in one household.
And he was over everybody.
He was over everybody, but I loved him very much. So that kind of set me back a little bit, got me more angry, I should say, to almost say, forget the world. But then, I still had ambitions to go to college. I even went down to A.S. McKinley, filled all out the financial aid paperwork and everything. But then 9 months later, my grandmother passed. And I kind of lost it then. My mind was everywhere. And I couldn't focus on what I really need to focus on because they were two huge people that I love in my life, and they were gone. And so, yeah.
They're the anchors, the
Yes.
family anchors. And to lose both within a year is traumatic,
Yes.
to say it mildly. So at this point, we're looking at what would have been your freshman year of college. And like you said, your mind is blown. What do you do at that point?
At this point, I just said, you know what? Because my moms was still struggling with, in job, trying to, take care of us, two boys at the time. I now have a younger brother, but I just wanted to say, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and try to make a living off the streets. And that's what I did for a little while. And, I'm not highlighting the streets, but it's definitely different from what it is today.
And in that time frame, what did you see?
I saw lots of money. I saw me making decisions, my own decisions. I saw me going down a destructive path.
But did you also feel like you were taking some of the pressure off your mother?
I did, and it's hard, because, you want to be the man of the house. You want to be the provider and the protector as a man should be, providing and protector. But you shouldn't go, slanging drugs on the corner to do that, because it's just, I was kind of in survival mode at that time, trying to, take the load off, right?
Just
take the load off my moms and stuff like that.
So let's fast forward to how you got into the wheelchair. What was that day?
Wow, that day, just like it happened yesterday, but it's been over 20 years now.
I didn't know it had been
half my life. Yes. That day, me and a friend of mine we actually planned, out to go rob another drug dealer. And it was all stemmed from when I had got robbed in the Jeffrey Manor, and so we were at this guy's house at 7, 8 in the morning. We didn't even think nobody was there. So we wanted to go in. We didn't want to hurt nobody. We didn't want to do nothing, none of that. We just wanted to
get the dope and get out.
Get up out of there. When we kicked in the door, it was a surprise. The surprise was that we had to go up 15 steps. The time we got to the top of the steps, my buddy went to the guy's room, and I stayed in a living room area. And no more than 20 seconds later, my friend come back running out past me saying, dude got a gun. I kind of went blank for a minute. It was like, you know, what do I do? You know, and so my instincts immediately was to follow him. He made it out the house, down the steps. I got shot. I didn't even know I got shot. I just know I heard a loud echoing sound twice, and I fell to the ground. And I tried to uh, get back up, and I couldn't. And I can literally see the door maybe, 5 feet in front of me, and I'm pulling myself trying to get out this man's house. And don't you know how you can feel somebody behind you, but you don't want to turn around?
Feel the presence.
And he's at that point, he stood over me and he told me that I should kill you. And he shot me 2 more times. It wasn't nothing but the grace of God of how I got out that house. And I'm out the house. I'm sitting at about 2 feet away from the door. And I turn myself over because I can't even move my legs, but I don't even know what's going on because my mind is rushing, it's everywhere. But when I sit up, a young lady come over and asked me, was I all right? And I told her no, because she called the ambulance. The ambulance came, took me to Northwestern Hospital, where I saw the doctor. The doctor came in, but even before that, I can just remember me going into the emergency room. And, I used to watch shows with, the doctor shows, you go into the emergency, it ain't nothing good going into the emergency rooms. And so I'm in there, it's cold. I see the table, I'm laying on the table. I don't see no blood. I see the table that they want to put me, so they transfer me over to the table and they cut off my shirt and they just told me to count down from 10. And when I got down to 7, I was out of there.
And when you woke up?
When I woke up, I had 34 staples going down from my chest to my navel. And blessed God that, none of my internal organs were damaged, because that's what they do when you get shot. They go in, they try to retrieve the bullet, or they try to see if any of your internal organs are damaged so they can repair it. After that, the doctor came in and told me that I would never be able to walk again. And I was devastated because,
how old were you?
I was 24 years at that time, 24 years old. And, because I played track, I ran track and cross country at Hales. And when I went to Kenwood, I started on the football team. And, just if a doctor tell you that, it's like, what am I going to do? And so that's what was going on in my mind. And 5 minutes later, my mom's and my little brother came in, and I couldn't do nothing but bawl out crying, because it was at that moment when all I could think about was my mom telling me, why are you over there hanging out on the corners over there? Why are you selling drugs? Why I'm seeing you got guns in my house. And I just didn't have no words, and I was ashamed, because I wanted the best for my moms, I wanted the best for my family. And, I was supposed to be the first person in our immediate family to go to college. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. My younger brother went first, but and what I would say is that I am attending college this summer. Yes. And I will be getting my Associates of Arts next year.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen. I wanted to, before I even commend you on this, I'm so excited about that. How long did it take for you from that moment when you woke up and was told that you were not going to be able to walk again until you could kind of think without that haze around you, because I don't care what anyone says, when you're dealing with any type of trauma, but especially one that is to your physical being or your mental state, you don't wake up the next day and say, "Oh, okay, I'm good now."
Right.
Let's keep it moving. That's not what happens. How long did it take from you from that moment of really firstly accepting that that was the truth, because you don't even accept it as the truth initially,
Mm.
to, okay, my life isn't over, what am I going to do now? How long was that for you?
Wow. It was almost immediately because I've always been an ambitious person, a go-getter. That's how I was raised. You know, my family, my grandmother, my grandfather, my moms. I used to wake up and see them go to work every day, and so that's why I learned my work ethic from. So it was, maybe I would say, 6 months after taking it all in and realizing, saying to myself and talking myself through it and saying, Marcus, your life ain't over with.
Yes.
You a young man, you still got so much life to live. You need to get out here, get back focused, and take control of your life again. And that's what I did.
Where did this book come from? Hold on, let me hold up my book. Everyone Has a Story. This Is Mine by Marcus Jones. This is, how old were you on this picture?
I was 2 years old on that picture.
Okay, see, that's that one of the mama pictures that,
Right.
that they still have really big somewhere in your house. I know my
Yes.
mother has one. I've been begging to get down for years. But anyway,
Yeah.
Where did this come from?
The book came from actually my children and me telling myself and proving to myself to say, hey, like I said, your life ain't over with. You need to show people, tell people your story, because there's somebody out there that can be going through the same thing you're going through, or even worse, but they can relate to some situations in your life. I wrote the book because, for one, everyone has a story. And my children, I just wanted to show them, to push forward. You can do something with your life, whether you have a disability or not. And I just wanted to show that leadership, show that fatherhood, show that daddy, that, I'm here for you. And if I can make it through, I'm pretty sure you can make it through as well.
What are your babies' names?
Wow. My oldest is Ariana. And I have 4 grandchildren as well.
Oh,
so,
dude, you getting old. My goodness.
Wow. Yeah, life goes on.
Yes, it does.
It don't stop for nobody.
Well, we're gonna name everybody.
Okay. My oldest, I have 3 girls, 1 boy, by the way. So my oldest girl is Ariana. She has 2 of my 2 granddaughters of mine. No, my oldest is Tyriana. Her 2 daughters is Ariana and Jada.
Okay.
My second oldest is Asia. She has a son named Noah. My son is Cedric. He has no children.
Cedric, I'm gonna hold up on that for a minute.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute.
Okay.
My youngest daughter is Tia, and she has a son, Travarion.
All right. Now, once you wrote this, like I said, with your babies in mind, when did you think about other people's babies? And by that, I mean, yes, your children were going to benefit, but you actually became an activist.
Yes.
How did you segue into activism and tell people what it is that you do?
Wow, it's kind of a thing where I was actually interviewed down at Can TV by the late, oh my God, I know I shouldn't forget this guy's name, but I'll mention it in a minute. And so after the show, he came and asked me, have you ever thought about being a host? And I told him no, laughingly, but I took it seriously on the inside because I just came out with my book at the time. And by the way, this is like the fourth edition of my book. You know, I tried to get it right because when I first came out with the book, I didn't know nothing about how to be an author, nothing like that. So after he had asked me that, you know, I went home, I thought I slept on it. And about a week later, I was taking a class down at KNTV to become a certified producer down there to host my own shows. And it was almost like at that point, because, you know, I have a great platform, and to reach as many people as you can, you have to have a wide audience, a wide range of people. And so that's when I kind of segued into say, you know what, I can reach so many people on this platform and so many young people on this platform. And that's where it kind of started for me, right there at KNTV.
Because you had your own show, and you were also in the community.
Yes.
Because for those people that aren't familiar with the southeast side of Chicago, it's still a lot going on over there.
Yes.
And it's gotten really rough in these past, I would say probably 10 years, maybe. Yes. Rougher than we would have expected. And so when you are speaking to the young people and talking with the young people, what are they telling you? How are they feeling right now?
Wow, a lot of mixed emotions out there because I've spoken in over 40 plus schools. And, you know, that's where it's kind of, you know, on the fence. You know, either you're going to get this education or you're going to go into them streets. And, you know, a lot of young people deal with that every day of their life. You know, going home to their moms, you know, and their moms stand on top of them. Most moms stand on top of with an iron fist. But then when they get out to the buddies, they want to be accepted. When they get, you know, out into the streets, they want to be accepted. And so a lot of what I'm hearing from the youth is that, you know, we love you, because I always tell them that I love them. I'm hearing, you know, how can they get some help? I always direct them to different resources in the community, in their community or outside the community. And, you know, it's just, you know, a lot of relations there as far as they can relate to my story. You know, I've been there, I've done that. And so they really don't want to talk to people who haven't been there, done that. You know, it just go right over their head.
Who would? I mean, you know,
right.
How do I expect you to be able to tell me about what I'm living and you haven't lived it? So that's fair. That's fair. I want to interject this here because I'm so disturbed about it and I haven't gotten over it. I read an article a couple of weeks ago, and it stated that out of every community in the city, and there are a bunch of neighborhoods in the city, South Shore has the highest eviction rate in the entire city of Chicago.
Wow.
And I looked at that and I thought about the young people now. They talked about how the young people were almost resigned when the sheriff would come. And I'm thinking in my own mind, what's going through that child's head watching their parent or parents literally having to get everything they can gather up before they put the padlock on the door. And it is not to blame a parent, because I'm not speaking for any one specific situation, but I am saying that in that reality, you create a need for security, stability, which translates to income. And if I can't get it, as the studies say, as a young Black man with a college degree versus a young white man with a high school education, I have to get it somewhere. And it shows me how this dope game has a lot of our young people almost hostage, because no one's going to sit there and starve waiting to get a call back from Walmart. That's just the reality of it. And everyone, and I'm saying everyone facetiously, wants to say, well, they need to do something, they need to do something.
Right.
Okay, being a bucket boy only gets you so much money.
Right.
I mean, honestly. So, but in reading that and looking at the desperation of the parents, because the parents have to feel horribly, but I'm thinking about, but what does that put on a young man's mind in particular, I have to help my parents, help my mom, help whomever is my guardian, take care of us. And it puts our young people in a bad position. I just really, because like I said, that knowing we both grew up in that general vicinity, that really struck me hard. That really bothered me. And the second highest eviction rate is in the 8th Ward, including Chatham and a couple of other neighborhoods over there. And that was very shocking.
Wow.
So we are going through a transition of neighborhoods, of socioeconomic status, of education level attainment, and of economic desperation.
Yes.
So I appreciate your talking and mentoring even more because it's getting even rougher. Now, before we get even all deep, you said you were going to tell us Cedric's story. What is Cedric? What's Cedric said's story?
So my son's story is just like most children. Most sons want to be like their fathers, and even though I try, to talk him out of certain situations and be there as much as I can for him with little resources I had at the time, he went out and committed a crime. And now he's locked up in Centralia doing 16 years. So he'll be out, he's halfway there, but, I just want to say that, the men out there needs to be the provider and the protector. They need to not just stand up, but to stand out as well, and lead and set an example, not just at home, but out on here in these streets, wherever you go. You need to be a beacon of light to these young boys out here.
Because it's dark.
It's dark. It's dark.
Very dark.
And they need to see it. Let's just face it. Like you said, and we all know, the Black community, that they're in survival mode. And, because who really wants to be out on a corner, facing danger every day of the hour, looking for the police, the stick up man,
right?
The other gang, the ops as they call them now. It's just so much out there. But they doing it because we're not getting the resources that we need on looking at it on that point of view. But at the same time, we have to come together and unite as a Black community, Black family, and bring back that Black love again.
And thirdly, we have to start younger.
Yes.
If you're talking with a 14-year-old, it's not that you can't make an impact, but he would have been better served when he was 7.
Yes.
Because because I know how I was at 14. You can't tell me nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I know my mom, whatever. Mm-hmm. I wasn't like that at 7. Mm-hmm. At 7, I would listen. I was, so much more impressed with things and, all of that. We start worrying after the trouble starts. We need to start getting them to the point where there is no trouble to start.
Right.
And that means getting them younger. Something else that I know we as a people need to do, because nobody was born with a gun in hand and in the mind to shoot it.
Right.
But the longer you let poverty, anger, dysfunction continue, the quicker I am to pull it. Mm-hmm. There used to be a song when we were young. I'm 18 with the bullet, got my finger on the trigger, I'm gonna pull it. Mm-hmm. And I didn't understand what that meant at the time. Now I'm real clear. Mm-hmm. And 18 is kind of old at this point for that. And that's a tragedy. So I definitely thank you for standing out there and saying, listen, if you want to have an option to do something else, come talk to me. Come talk to me. You have to want it though. Because at that time, I said, when you're dealing with teenagers, they at the point they have to want it. Mm-hmm. Now, how do people reach you to speak, and how do people get the book?
Wow. Well, first of all, to reach me, you go to my website, www.marcusjonesstory.com. You can also reach me on Facebook. You can also reach me on Twitter at I Have a Story, the number 2 TEL. So that's I Have a Story to Tell. You can also reach me on my Instagram, Marcus Jones.
And to order the book, they go through the website?
They go to the website, or you can also go to Amazon and just, pull up my name.
And the title is Everyone Has a Story, This Is Mine.
Yeah.
Now, Marcus, this is almost mid-2017. I'm like, this time is flying by. For the rest of this year, what is the plan for you?
Well, the rest of the year, the plan is for me, and has been the plan for me since the beginning of this year, is to go hard on my talk show, to use that platform to the fullest, and just educate our people, educate people, young people, educate people who just not getting it yet, and education.
And also talking with those who get it but are struggling with the reality around them.
Yes.
Because sometimes you get it, but the wolf is at the door.
Right.
What are we going to do?
Right. I'm also working on a roundtable discussion, which I'm going to bring on some unapologetic community leaders to the roundtable, balanced, even out, both men and women. And we're going to talk about, what's being done to move our communities forward, Black power, Black unity, Black pride, speak on our history, because a lot of people, we just got to go back to our history and repeat it and get it etched in our head, affordable housing, police brutality, prison pipeline, and just so many topics that we need to talk about truthfully.
Yes.
Get it out. Because I do understand, and the reason why I'm calling for this is because unapologetic truth, because I understand that people sometimes don't want to get up there and talk the truth because their careers and their jobs may be in jeopardy, or people, may look at them funny. But that's just really not the case. We just need to know and hear the truth.
And the pretending it like the truth was not there has done us a great disservice. We've really suffered because of it.
Yes.
To watch your show, which CAN TV station, date, and time?
Well, right now, my show will be airing in June next month. And all you got to do is go to your computer, click on the internet, type in www.cantv.org, then click on schedule. And then
it'll
click,
show you.
But you want, because they have several channels there, and I'm going to be on channel 21. So you, after clicking on schedule, you want to click on channel 21 and scroll down, and my name, the title of my show is going to be in there. Everyone Has a Story.
Well, Marcus Jones, I thank you so much for being a great guest on the Straight No Chaser show on intellectualradio.com and iHeart Radio station. And I look forward to the roundtable and for your continued activism and dedication to the community, because we have to make some changes.
Definitely.
Because we have some souls to save, some lives to save.
For sure.
And with that is this segment of the Straight No Chaser show. So I'll look forward to seeing everyone next week. And until then, be safe, everyone. Peace and blessings in the name of Jesus, because he's there for everybody. All you have to do is ask.
Yes.
It's straight talk with no chaser. It gives the people a voice, empowers you with a choice. She gives you straight talk, no chaser. Straight talk with no chaser. Straight talk with no chaser. Straight talk with no chaser. She provides a platform of growth and gives a dying people hope. She gives you straight talk, no chaser. Straight talk with no chaser. Straight talk with no chaser. Straight talk with no chaser.